Hi, my name is Mark Beerth. Welcome to Spotlight on Fine Arts. This is the Chelmsford School Arts Department TV show. There are great things happening in Chelmsford Public School Arts. Today on the show, we will learn about exciting things happening in art, music, and theater at Chelmsford High School and Parker Middle School. And now, on to Spotlight on Fine Arts, episode 72.
Hi, my name is Jack. It's musical season at CHS. This year's musical is Fiddler on the Roof. Students and directors are hard at work preparing to wow their audiences. Let's look behind the scenes and see how the show is coming together.
Hi, I'm Christy Whittlesey, and you're watching Spotlight on Fine Arts. And I have with me here some special and talented theater students. I'm excited to hear about how your rehearsals are going and what we can all look forward to as we see this show. So for the three people in the audience who don't know about Fiddler on the Roof, can you kind of tell us what the show is about and what audience members would expect to see?
So Fiddler on the Roof is a story in the early 1900s about a family made up of Divya, Golda, the husband and the wife, and their 5 daughters. And the 3 oldest daughters are trying to find love and get married, but it's a little bit of an issue because they all want to find their own love and their own destiny, but there is a matchmaker and traditions that they need to follow, so that's a little bit complicated.
Just like real life, except with more dancing and singing.
Yes.
Right? So what are your individual roles on and off the stage for this show?
Well, I play Hava, who is the middle child of Divya and Golda. There is 5 daughters total, and I think she's definitely an intelligent character, and she really enjoys reading, and yeah, she also struggles with trying to follow tradition, but at the same time wanting to kind of follow her own path.
My character is Seidel. She is the oldest daughter of the family, and she has a very difficult time also finding love because she's been in love with a boy named Model Zoil, who's played by Kevin Hamilton. She's been in love with him like ever since they were little, and she doesn't want the matchmaker to make her a match of someone that's not as great as Model. So yeah, and also off stage I am the publicist of the Theater Guild, so I designed and drew the poster for the show.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
And you're here publicizing.
Yes.
Good job.
Come to the show.
And how about you?
I am Divya in the show, so I'm the father of the 5 daughters, and I'm also producer, so I make the program for the show, and I handle the t-shirts and any cast bonding activities, and really just any big things like that. And Divya as a character is struggling with letting his daughters grow up and dealing with tradition, but also trying to let them be independent women, which is not really something you would see in such a period show. And I also think he, or at least my biggest struggle so far was trying to find the comedy and everything, because overall it's kind of a dark show, so it's tough, but we're working hard.
Yeah, I mean, these are some serious themes that you're grappling with in this musical. And on the other hand, you also have, you know, tons of choreography, and you have people flying. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, we're trying to keep it under wraps.
Oh.
A little bit of a surprise. Well, no, okay. Knowing about the flying, but where it happens is kind of a hush-hush. Okay. But it will be very exciting, and it's something that we've never done before with the flying. Because we have flown in the past for Mary Poppins.
Just a couple years ago, yeah.
Yeah, but this is completely new, never before seen.
Okay.
Anticipation.
I'm intrigued.
Yes.
And how about the choreography? Who is choreographing the show this time?
It's Andrea Lowe and Connor Frugally, who both have very extensive dance experience. They're both very talented dancers, and they're really fun to work with. They make rehearsals really fun.
And how much of that work is just created by you as far as stage direction, and what kind, you know, how are the decisions made as far as what you want to do, or what the choreographer or what the directors are deciding for you?
It's sorry, go ahead.
I have a take and then you get a different takes, because we all kind of work differently with Mrs. Cochran. So on the large group numbers, it's obviously going to be much more rigid. So it's either more the choreographers taking over the dance sections by themselves or Mrs. Cochran doing concrete blocking. But I know for a lot of solo songs or duets, it's more of free-form blocking. So like for If I Were a Rich Man, I have certain spaces on the stage where I should go, but it's up to me when to go there and stuff.
Okay. Tell me about the people directing the show too. We have Ms. Cochran, who you referenced. Ms. Rader is the musical director, right?
Yep.
And then the Pit. Have you heard the Pit at all? That's directed by Mr. Sexauer.
No.
No.
Not yet.
I'm excited to hear them as well.
Very excited.
Yeah.
We're really lucky in Chelmsford that we can have a big student pit orchestra every year, and the music and theater just go hand in hand that way. So I think this is going to be a huge hit of a show. Tell me about your experience in theater that led you here. You obviously all have important roles in this production. What have you done in the past? What are you looking ahead to do in the future? Zoe?
Well, I started theater in middle school, and I became hooked. Like, I loved it so much. It's such a fun and I think welcoming group to be a part of. And I'm not sure whether or not it's something I plan on doing in the future, career-wise, but it's definitely something I want to continue to do, like, recreationally, if not for a career.
Well, art is just so important.
Yeah.
Just
Definitely.
for your soul, right? Regardless of whether it's a profession. But you have a couple more years because you're a sophomore,
Yes.
so you have some time to sit with it, and we have you for a little longer, so I'm very happy about that.
I'm excited.
How about you, Madison?
Well, I've been doing theater since I was 5, but I haven't started doing musical theater until around like high school-ish. And I've done it for all 4 years, the musical here, and it's just a great experience every single year, whether you have a small part or a big part. And yeah, I just love theater so much, and I'm definitely going to continue it in college. I don't think I'm going to major in it, but I really want to minor in it to possibly be a theater educator one day.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
That is great, and I want to say I had Madison in chorus at Parker Middle School. That's where she got that great voice. No, she came in with the great voice. It's so strange now to see you, moving ahead and looking at college next year. So I'm so proud of you. And how about you?
So I started doing theater same time as Madison, so like 5 or 6. I've done lots of summer camps over the years. And future plans, I'm leaning more away from the acting and more towards directing and producing theater. So I'm looking at different directing programs at different schools, and that's really more where I'm going right now. I'm really excited.
I have no doubt that you'll go far.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, before we sign off, we need to say when the show is and how can people get tickets, because I know now they're hooked.
Okay.
So when is the show?
The show is November 15th, 16th, and 17th at the PAC at 7 o'clock.
Yes.
Yes, 7 o'clock. It's 7. And to get tickets, there's a link in Chelmsford News to vendini.com. So if you search Fiddler on the Roof, it should pop up. And you can also just call the high school directly and call Mrs. Cochran's extension, which you can do, I think, through the phone system.
You sure can,
and
yeah.
you can buy them through her.
Okay, fabulous. And the school number is 978-251-5111. Ask for Mrs. Cochran. And as I said, the show is in November at our very own Carl J. Rondina Performing Arts Center. And I know it will be an amazing show. Thank you for being here to talk about it and to talk about your experiences in theater. And I wish you all broken legs as you look forward to being in the show. All right. And we'll be right back with more Spotlight on Fine Arts.
Matchmaker, matchmaker, play me your match. I'm in no rush. Baby, I'm not. Playing with matches, our own hand never. So bring me no bring, prove me no bring, find me no find, catch me no catch. Unless he's a
Olivia Sweeney. I love art, don't you? A new piece of artwork will soon be installed at the CHS. It's a giant lion sculpture by one of our CHS artists. The sculpture will be a reminder of our whole community of the Chelmsford pride values. Just remember, you can look at the sculpture, but keep your paws to yourself.
Welcome back to Spotlight on Fine Arts. For this segment, I have a very talented and dedicated artist from our high school with me in the studio. Welcome to the studio, Felix. I'm so glad you could be here.
Thank you.
I'm really excited to share your work with the audience because it spans a variety of media and techniques and ideas, and it's very exciting. But before we do that, everyone's experience influences the work that they create, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about your experiences growing up and living in Chelmsford, living in other places.
Yeah, so as a child, I really liked art. I remember I used to play with rocks. I would pick up rocks from the side of the street and I would like smash them together and pretend they're like small figures and all of that stuff. So like I see a lot of interesting shapes and the texture in the small rocks, and I use that as some of my inspiration for my artwork.
So you've always been an artist innately. It's just always been inside of you.
Yeah.
And did you learn to create art organically just by yourself or through classes or school or what?
I think I've learned to do it by myself. I sometimes watch TV and sometimes it would inspire me to draw something like Power Rangers or dragons, the very childish stuff, yeah.
And what is your favorite medium?
My favorite medium right now would be stone, or specifically granite.
Wow. And I've seen we'll look at some of your stone pieces that you've created. First, I want to say you're a local celebrity now. I saw a video of you being interviewed on the Lowell Sun website and in the paper. And that's because you completed very recently a very impressive work. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's a wooden lion sculpture. I made it for the Chelmsford High School. So I was brought down to the woodshop by Mr. Greenfield, the retired woodshop teacher, and he's been trying to find somebody to carve a sculpture for at least 5 years, and he finally found me.
And here's a picture as you're talking.
Yeah, so you can see the original tree. It's around 6 feet tall, and it's part of the tree that was growing in the center of Chelmsford. During a blizzard a couple years ago, the tree had to be cut down, and Mr. Greenfield got part of the log so that we can work on some projects in the future. And that's Mr. Greenfield, and that's around the middle of the process of working on the sculpture. And to the right, there is my prototype. It's half the size of the...
Okay.
I began planning it during my junior year last year, but I actually started carving it in the beginning of March.
Okay. So it's a long process.
Yeah.
And I love that I didn't realize that the tree was from the center of Chelmsford. So it means more knowing that. That's very interesting. And I love to see where you took that. Tell me about This is literally a big project. How do you attack a project like this compared to something on a smaller scale?
I don't let the size of the material scare me, because sometimes doing big artwork can be an advantage, because there are more details you can do, and less you can make less mistakes because it's really big. And I just take it one day at a time. I try to keep myself motivated to do the best I can.
And tell me, what's going to happen with this sculpture now?
Yeah, Principal Murray, he told me that he wants to install it right in front of the main lobby.
That's great. You don't think it will scare people as they come in?
I never thought about that.
No. That'll be great. All right, well, I'm so glad that you created this, and now every time I see it, I'll think of you once they put it up. Let's look at some of your other work that you've created. Now, this year, you're in Honors Art Portfolio, right? So you've been in several different classes, art classes at the high school. This one, it looks like you were in a photography class?
No, I took that photo on a field trip.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So he's our director, Mr. Padula's going to spin through some more. Tell us a little bit about what we're looking at here.
So on the left, that is a clay mask, and it's kind of inspired from Power Rangers.
I can see that.
Yeah, so it's a big part of my childhood. And on the right, it's a photo I took also on a field trip. It's like the ceiling of a wooden roof.
And the way that you see it is different than how I think many other people would see just a regular, everyday object.
Yeah.
That you have the artist's eye, clearly. And then we just saw a sculpture. Tell us about this piece.
So this piece is made from paper mache, and the assignment was that we need to make a letter character. It could be like from your name. So I did something from my culture. It's a word universe, and the first character is part of my name. And I just want to share with my classmates and my teachers my background and my culture.
Did you want to talk a little bit about that now?
Sure. So I was born in Taiwan in the year 2000. I grew up there. I went to 3 years of elementary school there. I learned how to read, write, speak, and listen in Mandarin.
Oh, okay.
And in third grade, in 2009, I moved to America here, and that's where I continued my life.
So you've been in Chelmsford since 2009?
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad that you're here. And it's very interesting because your culture does add so much to your work, as we've just seen.
Yeah.
And I am very excited to see what you'll do in the future. You're a senior this year. Will you be making more art as you, after you graduate?
Definitely, yeah. I always get inspiration, and in my mind, I've always had the drive to make it and do it. Yeah.
Well, I know we'll be seeing much more from you. Thank you for being on the show today, and thank you for creating that beautiful totem that will be at CHS. And thank you, everyone. We'll be right back with more Spotlight on Fine Arts.
CPS students in grades 5 through 12 can choose to participate in orchestra. The orchestra instruments are violin, viola, cello, and bass. When these instruments play together, amazing things can happen. Let's hear about a special project by the Parker Middle School Orchestra. Take it away, Maestro.
We're so lucky in Chelmsford that we have really great music ensembles, and that our students in grades 5 through 12 can choose between orchestra, band, or chorus. And at each school, our directors choose really interesting literature to help develop their students' musical skills and to explore different cultures and techniques. At Parker Middle School last year, Mrs. Tiano, the orchestra director, actually commissioned a piece from a very well-known orchestra arranger, Deborah Baker Monday, and they performed it for the very first time at a festival last year. Let's hear Mrs. Tiano talk a little bit about this piece.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Tiano. I'm the orchestra director here at Parker Middle School. Well, about 2 years ago, students started showing me works that they were doing, dances and other pieces that they were doing musically from India, and it became inspiring to me. And I always love to have something very special for students to walk away with when they leave the program here at Parker. So I started looking around for music from India, traditional music, modern music, and I wasn't finding anything really for middle school orchestra in general, orchestras in general, period. So I reached out to a composer I know and trust and love and put the idea in her head. Then she came back and said, do you have any ideas yourself? So I reached out to the students, and they had so many, and I was able to give her all sorts of videos and links to music that they love and adore. And from that, Jacqueline was born. The impact that this has had on my students, just as a music teacher, it was huge. Not only did they embrace it as their own, but they took the challenge musically to take it to a new level. And I'm very proud of them and what they've accomplished with this piece. They not only took it as their own, they made it like almost a family thing with them, which connects them and connects other students to the world, which has always been my goal, is to have more world music in our ensembles. I feel so very lucky that with such a talented composer as Deborah Baker Monday and such wonderful students we have here at Parker that I was able to connect both together and create this amazing piece.
And I actually have 3 students who performed this piece for the first time in the studio with me, 3 Parker Orchestra students. Thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So let's just quickly, I want the audience to know, what grade you're in and what you play in the orchestra.
Well, I'm in the 8th grade, and so are we. We're all in the 8th grade. My name's Dennis, and I do the violin in orchestra.
I'm Jacqueline, and I play the bass.
I'm Divya, and I play the violin.
Excellent. And just so people know, because some people aren't aware, the orchestra is all string instruments. It's not a full symphony orchestra at this level. But it's amazing what you can do just with 4 different string instruments. So let's talk about J-Hind, this amazing piece. I love it. What was it like learning the piece that was brand new, and you actually worked with Deborah Baker Monday, right?
Yeah.
How did that? What was that like?
It was really interesting because we never played an Indian style piece before, and apparently there aren't very many out there.
No.
Because Mrs. Tiano, she told us that she went to some conference with a bunch of other music teachers, and everyone was like, when's it going to come out? Because they'd never done that with their groups either. And we Skyped with Deborah Baker Monday, and it was really cool. She helped us a lot. I know she helped Divya a lot with her solo.
Yeah.
And there was an interesting scale that it was in, the key. It was an Indian scale. It was called a raga, and it was very, very interesting to learn it.
And don't forget that other teacher who came.
Oh yeah, I think I don't remember.
He was
Michael Brody.
Yeah,
he was helpful.
That's right.
He was another type of professor.
And he was also at the actual Micah performance.
Mm-hmm. You created relationships with some, bigwigs in the orchestra world. You really did. Tell me, you mentioned the raga, and that's not our Western scale with the 12 chromatic notes. No. What does that mean for somebody who is not familiar with that?
Well, that means that we're totally going to mess up notes a lot more than we usually do.
Well, it's just different.
But, yeah, it's very different.
Could I add on?
Please.
So a raga, unlike a scale which has 8, so it's like C to C, like an octave, it has all 8, but a raga can skip notes. and there's like a lot of patterns, so it can be like C, E, F, G, A, B, C.
And not play a D.
But a raga can't have accidentals.
Oh, right. And people will actually get an oral grasp of what that is almost instantly when we listen to the piece at the end of this segment.
And also there are hundreds of ragas, of different ragas.
Oh, so they are memorized?
Yeah.
Oh!
Actually, no, they're like...
Or they improvised?
They're like...
No, they're
So first,
memorized.
there's a group of ragas where there aren't any skipping notes, so it's like all 8. And then there's like stuff that descends from that, so where they skip notes, they're like hybrids.
That's fascinating to me. As someone who obviously, I grew up with the Western music tradition, I would love to explore that. Tell me a little bit about, you premiered this piece, which I was saying before we started. It's so rare for a human to premiere a piece like this by such a well-known composer, and you've done this a couple times now with Mrs. Tiano, and you're very lucky. But what is that like? And what was it like for you as a soloist?
Yeah, so when I found out I got the solo, I was really happy, but I was also kind of nervous because, playing all of that in front of a crowd. But then after Skyping with Michael Brody and Deborah Baker-Monday, I felt a lot more confident. And performing, it was really fun.
That's really interesting because you have the composer of the piece telling you, this is how I want you to play it.
Actually, first, it was a bit scary, but then as we got to know her, we realized that she was a really nice person.
Yeah.
And it was a lot more natural.
Her and Mrs. Tiano are like buddies,
they're like
too,
really good
so.
friends.
I know.
Yeah.
Again, what a great resource.
And also learning the piece, it was really different from what we've learned, and it was a thing of 3 pieces put together.
Yeah, kind of.
Right. It was a kind of a medley.
So like
concept.
3 different styles.
Yeah.
And you can definitely hear those 3 parts too in the piece, and it works so well. Dennis, Mrs. Tiano talked about this being kind of a real family kind of feeling as you were working on this. What does this piece mean to you?
Well, I just really liked how we all worked together, and working together made stronger bonds with each other. And I just thought the experience was really fun, just learning new songs and also just learning a new culture that you don't see every day around here. So.
And don't hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that we all owe Ms. Tiano a debt of gratitude for, opening people's ears to different kinds of possibilities musically, and you were all a big part of that.
I totally think it was great to have a change.
Because it is such a different style. And as one of you mentioned earlier, this is a really kind of groundbreaking piece because there aren't a lot of pieces like this for middle school orchestra.
Yeah, I was born in India, and when I came here, when I was really young, and then later in life, the only places I'd hear Indian music were either in my car or at home. That was it. Yeah, that was where it ended.
And then you get it every day at school. Well, I can tell that you obviously work so well as an ensemble, and you seem to be very comfortable with each other just in general. I'm really excited to hear what you continue to do, and as you develop musically, as you move up into the high school and participate in the orchestra there. So thank you so much for being here to share about this musical experience that you had. And I'm excited to share a little bit of Jai Hind with you. Thank you very much for watching Spotlight on Fine Arts, and we'll see you next time.